These are the 5 most comfortable sneakers for $100 or less. Starting with one of the most popular sneakers right now, the Nike P6000. Terrible name in my opinion, sounds like one of Doofenshmirtch's inventions.
Introduce you to the Gluminator 3000!
But for the retail price of just $100 or oftentimes less when you find these things on sale, it's clear to me why so many people like them. They come in so many different color options. You've got the solid black, the solid white, and then obviously a lot of colors that play into this sneaker's retro runner style. A lot of the metallic colorways that play into the 2000s runner aesthetic are probably my favorite ones. Now this sneaker's biggest competitor, or just a pair of shoes that a lot of people compare this one to, is the Nike Vomero 5, another extremely popular Nike model. But obviously those ones are like 50 to 60% more expensive than the P6000. And honestly, these are right up there with the Vomeros in terms of comfort. Sure, you may not find the level of premium materials that you find on the Vomeros, but what are we talking about here? Because this is not a sneaker made of leathers and suedes. In this category of retro style runners, you're not really getting anything other than synthetics and mesh, so there's not really anything that much more premium that any other retro runner could offer. The cushioning underneath is decently soft. You shouldn't have any issues wearing these things all day. I'm a huge fan of the way that they look and just how easy they are to throw on with a bunch of different outfits. But before we move on to number 4, I do just want to mention another pair of shoes that is extremely close to this one as another option, the Nike Initiator. Now these are somehow more affordable than the P6000, coming in at just $80 retail, and again, often less when you find them on sale. Overall, the Nike Initiator is a really strong option in terms of Nike's affordable model lineup. The only reason that these are not part of the list is because, one, they're so similar to the P6000s, and the P6000s kind of beat them out in the comfort department. Not that these are uncomfortable, they're just slightly more firm. However, I really like the look of these, potentially even more than the P6000, so I wanted to add them in kind of as an honorable mention just in case somebody did want something slightly more affordable and didn't mind the firmer feel underfoot. But in terms of quality, they're pretty much the exact same as the P6000, so there's no trade-off in that department. But next, we got one of Nike's biggest competitors. It's Adidas with the Adistar 3. A little bit of a disclaimer, these might be a little bit harder to find for exactly $100. I found a few places selling them for $103, but I just had to add them to the list because these are probably the best option out there for a max cushion sneaker around that $100 price point. I mean, honestly, this would be a sneaker that is up there with the Invincible Run 3 as just a max cushion option, except they're like $80 less. When I tried these things out, I was actually taken back by just how soft they were with the cushioning underneath. It's something that I really did not expect for a product that costs about $100. So the foam that they've actually used for this midsole is called Repetitor. I'm not entirely sure if they use it throughout other different models. It's the only one I've seen, but it seems like a cushioning they've made for this model specifically, or at least first used it in this one. Now, it's not their flagship cushioning, which is the Lightstrike Pro that they will run you about $250 to $500, but this foam is still incredibly soft and incredibly good value. I think for anybody looking for a pair of shoes that's going to be fine for a daily runner, walking around, going to the gym, using it for work, something like that, this is a great option. I know so many people use the Adidas Ultra Boost as their daily sneaker. I did for a very long time, and I'm pretty confident you could replace those Ultra Boosts with this pair and be pretty happy. It's a much lighter shoe than most of the Ultra Boost models, especially if you're looking at the 21s or the 20s. It's got a ton of padding around the ankle area, making them just overall super comfortable. But for as good as these things are, for number 3, we gotta go back to Nike. This is the Nike Journey Run, arguably one of the best looking shoes on this list, and these will only run you anywhere between $60 and $80, which is pretty insane. And just like the Adistar 3s, this is a pair of shoes that over delivers at this price point, and that's saying something for Nike. They don't often over deliver. I think this pair of shoes is pretty comparable to the Pegasus 41, one of Nike's most popular sneakers like ever, not only in design language but even feel on foot. Nike's also using a completely different cushioning in this middle. They call it Comfy Ride, and it's super comfortable. I think it finds a nice balance between being soft and then kind of firm, so it's like right in the middle. It's not too soft to the point where, you know, if you don't like max cushion sneakers, this is probably the best option. I think this is great as an everyday shoe. It kind of checks a lot of those boxes. It's got a nice feeling upper that does not feel cheap. It's got decent padding around the ankle area and just overall has a really nice slip-on and go type feel to them. They've also got a lot more colorways since they first launched a couple months back. You got plenty to choose from, and honestly, this is a very, very strong option. But coming in at number 2, probably the most popular shoe on the planet right now, the Asics 1130. Now, when it comes to retro style runners, Asics does really dominate the market. Now, Asics sneakers in general are incredibly popular. They've got a bunch of models that are all popping off, but I think the 1130 specifically specifically really stands out because it's one of the more affordable options than any other competitor. So Nike, Adidas, New Balance, I don't think they've ever really hit this price point of just $95. Now that all sounds great, but the issue with this pair of shoes, and I think something I should just say straight up at front, these sell out very quickly. Unlike a lot of the other options on this list, the hype is real with this Asics sneaker. But thankfully, Asics has released a bunch of different colorways and different options, so it shouldn't be that hard to pick up some colorways of this pair. So the first version is the standard mesh-based pair. This obviously takes on the traditional retro runner style. It's super lightweight and obviously a very comfortable option. It's a great all-around pair of shoes. Like literally when I say this is an everyday shoe, it's an everyday shoe. You can rock these things with like jeans and cargos and then wear them to the gym the next day. Take them out for a walk. You could even do running in this pair of shoes. It's the kind of versatility that at this price point is extremely appealing. There's not really that much that I can say bad about this pair of shoes except for the hype factor, but as a sneaker, it's great. But if you're someone who wants something a little bit more premium looking, you've also got the Asics 1130 with the leather and suede overlays. Now it is all synthetic, so it's not real, but it still just looks a little bit more premium. And you might like the feel of it a little bit more and maybe just the colorways that are offered. I would say maybe the suede and leather version kind of looks better with more kind of like streetwear outfits. That's a really good option if that's most of what you're going to be doing with this shoe. But overall, whichever way you go, the Asics 1130 has to be one of my favorite everyday sneakers at this point. But coming in at number one is the brand new New Balance 740. This one does come with a little asterisk right by it, and it's basically because it's such a new model. Well, it's not technically a new model, it's an old model that is brand new because New Balance just brought it back from the archives. And it literally only dropped like a week ago. So currently there is only one colorway that's available. But we already know that there is a ton more in the pipeline that are going to be dropping very, very soon, including collaborations like the upcoming Amine one that's dropping next month. And I think as this model becomes more available, it's probably going to be one of New Balance's most popular sneakers in the very near future. It just offers such great quality and such great value at this price point. And I think the real reason New Balance brought these things back is to directly compete with the 1130s from Asics. And it makes sense. I mean, these two shoes are very, very similar in so many different aspects, not just price point, but I mean, you put them side by side and they're like so similar. And I think for the most part, a lot of the things that I said about the 1130s are also applicable to this pair. Extremely comfortable. It feels decent quality. So I think your decision between the two of these is kind of going to come down to personal preference and then of course availability. Overall comfort is practically the same between these two models. I think I just personally prefer the New Balances just a little bit more. They also just feel slightly more premium than the Asics shoes, but I do anticipate the 740s becoming a better and better option over time as you do get more choice with different colorways and collaborations. But yeah, solid shoe that I highly recommend. Now, is there any other most comfortable $100 shoes that you would add to this list? If so, let me know down in the comment section. And if you want to check out another video, you know what to do right over there.